If you feel like the YouTube algorithm is killing your channel's growth and performance, you actually just might be making the wrong videos. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to work with this year's algorithm so it actually helps you grow this year as a creator. We got 7 points we're going to cover in this video. And the first is that the algorithm is not working against you. It's actually your matchmaker. You can think of YouTube's algorithm as honestly the world's greatest dating coach. It's constantly trying to set your videos up on the perfect blind date with the right viewer for that specific video. And they do this totally for free too. It's crazy. You don't have to pay for distribution of your content. YouTube is doing this all for you. It kind of reminds me of like the show on Netflix, that awful dating show, Love is Blind, that I highly do not recommend watching. But if you watch it, I mean, more power to you.
I know my worth. Like 1,000%.
But if YouTube were producing Love is Blind, there wouldn't be any drama. There'd be no tears and no craziness, no chaos, because YouTube actually knows who's compatible. They're studying everything, clicks, comments, watch history, to make sure your content ends up with the right viewer and not some crazy person who nobody should ever end up with.
Anyways.
So when your videos underperform, it's not that YouTube is punishing you in any way. It's just that they haven't found the right viewer to pair that content with. And that could be a problem with your own structure and clarity of your content, or it could just be a lack of demand. In any case, the rest of the tips in this video are going to help you create the right kinds of videos that get seen by the right people. So our next tip is to focus on what we call the first audience. So these are the first people that are going to encounter your video. And in the first 24 to 48 hours, this little short window really does matter because your current viewers are going to teach the algorithm who your video is designed for. If your viewers get the opportunity to click on your video and watch, and they actually decide to stick around and watch a lot of that video, YouTube is going to expand the distribution of that video. And I'll show you here in our analytics, we can literally see this. If a video performs well, you'll see all the positive green arrows pointing upwards, which is a great sign. And YouTube will give you a specific notification that simply says, great work, your views are up right here for this video. They're up 88%. More subscribers are choosing to watch the video. They're watching longer than usual too. That's helping to increase its reach on YouTube recommendations. And then the inverse is also true. If subscribers choose not to click on your video, you can see this video underperform for us, underperformed our average. It only did about a couple thousand views in the first 24 hours. It says subscribers of your channel are showing less interest in this video, contributing to 69% fewer views than usual. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Craig, does this pigeonhole me into always creating the same kinds of videos over and over again? Will I not be able to just experiment with different formats or ideas? I get that concern. And I feel like the answer is sort of like yes and no. Yes, you should always be thinking about serving your audience anytime you make a video. Who are the first people who have the opportunity to watch? And are they going to click on this video and even be interested at all? So yeah, you want to be thinking about that. But no, it's not going to pigeonhole you fully. There's so many great formats and creative ideas you can experiment with. You could try reaction style videos, vlogging, long form podcast, lifestyle. So there's endless possibility in content formats you can explore, but generally, yes, you do want to come back to thinking about how can I serve my core audience and my core viewers the best, because that's going to help increase the overall distribution of the YouTube algorithm. Now, our next tip is to find outliers that already exist on YouTube. And maybe this is content of your own that you've already posted that outperformed and did really well. Or you could look at somebody else's content. And a little phrase we often use here is that success leaves clues and make part twos. So if you have successful content, or if others are making successful videos in your respective niche that are getting really broad appeal in your niche, and a lot of people are resonating with that content, you want to study what's working with those types of videos and then use those as references to build your own content. Now, one of my favorite tools to use for finding outliers is VidIQ. They're a longtime partner of this channel. And if you want to get started for as cheap as $1, you can click the link down in the description below to get started with VidIQ. But check out this interface here. If I go over to this Discover tab, right now I'm on Outliers. And so this is going to filter some of the best performing pieces of content on the platform right now and generate an outlier score for that video. So here's a video by Katie Steckley. She makes awesome content for creators. And this is a 50x outlier on her channel. If I click this, I can expand it and get more information. She got 583,000 views on a video posted a year ago. This is a 50x outlier. So it's performing 50 times better than most of the content on her channel. So this tells you that there's demand for this like free video editing software for YouTubers So we could spin this for ourselves. What if we did a video that was like top 5 best free video editing softwares for creators and YouTubers in 2026? That could be a great video. And there's proven verifiable demand for this content because Katie's video did over 500,000 views in just over a year. So clearly this would be a great outlier that we could use as inspiration for our own content. We can also add filters to videos. So if I went like best Sony camera, for example, I could filter. I'm searching for outliers within the last, let's say 6 months. And maybe we want an outlier score of at least 5 to 6x on their channel and a subscriber range of less than 1 million subscribers. We don't want any massive channels on this. So we're seeing like smaller channels that have, outperformed the respective niches. So here's like a 15x outlier. Here's one right here. And we actually just did content around the iPhone 17 Pro, best iPhone camera settings. So this is a 10x outlier score. Good to see. So using a tool like VidIQ to find outliers is a great way to find verifiable videos within your specific niche that have current demand. Our fourth tip is to think about building a viewer journey, not just posting random one-off videos. So you want to think of creating content like creating more like a playlist, not just one specific post. So ask yourself, what's the next logical video that somebody would want to watch after I make this current one that I'm working on? So for example, we'll make a video that's like how to start a podcast in 2025, which is a really broad appeal video. It did really well for us, over 300,000 views. And that's just a basic overview of how to start a podcast. But then we can get even more specific in how to start a podcast from your phone. That's a great specific question we could answer for people. How to start not only a podcast, but a video podcast is another video we created. Also podcast distribution. How do we distribute a podcast if you even start it? So we're thinking through the logical next steps that a viewer would need to have solved for them. If they're going to watch a broad podcasting video, they need to know every step of the process if they do indeed decide to pursue creating a podcast. So ideally, you could create clusters of videos or a video series that will help a viewer binge watch several videos on your channel, which is going to boost watch time across your channel broadly instead of just creating individual one-off pieces of content. Our fifth tip is to remember that search-based discovery is still so key, especially if you're a smaller channel and you're just getting started. If you don't have subscribers, YouTube doesn't have that built-in network of people that they're going to send that video out to for testing. So you really got to rely on good SEO or search engine optimization tactics like good titles, good thumbnails, good episode descriptions and tags to get your video discovered in the first place. And I want to show you here why this is so important. Here's our channel analytics for our Think Media channel. If I go over to content and I scroll down to the way that viewers are finding us in the last 28 days, 55% of our channel's views are coming from the YouTube search bar. This means that having those really good titles on our channel's library is vitally important, and it's the most frequent way that people engage with us here at Think Media. A couple methods that we teach in our online course called Video Ranking Academy, and if you're interested in that course, you can visit thinkvra.com to check us out. But a couple methods we teach in there is the ASQ and the RSP method. ASQ means answering specific questions. So we'll make videos like how to start a podcast in 2025, very specific question, or the RSP method, reviewing specific products. So that could be the best podcast microphones of the year. We do a lineup of all of those videos reviewing each individual microphone. Essentially, every channel could apply these two methods to never run out of content ideas, answering specific questions and reviewing specific products that relate to your core topic or idea is a great way to get discovered. Now, our sixth tip here is kind of more like an encouragement to smaller channels. It's that thankfully, discoverability has never been easier on YouTube than it is right now. Specifically because YouTube is no longer relying on subscriber-based distribution for getting content in front of people. It's now all interest-based, and it's more focused on the interest of individual viewers and the patterns of those individual viewers and the retention of your specific video than it is on any number of subscribers or views that your channel is generating. This means that small channels can compete with massive creators if viewers are sticking around for longer watch durations, or if they're sharing videos, copying the link, sending that to a friend, or engaging in the comment section. If you just create viewers who are really satisfied, you're gonna get rewarded even if you're a really small channel. So if you're watching this video and you literally have 0 subscribers and you feel overwhelmed of like, how am I gonna compete in this YouTube arena? The beauty is all you got to do is create quality videos that speak to a specific type of individual or viewer and do that over and over and over and over again, and you will see growth. And that brings us to our final tip, which is riches are in the niches. And do you say niche or niche? I almost always say niche now, but it doesn't really work with the phrase riches in the niches. It's like the only time I say niche. Anyways, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's remember that the algorithm does not promote channels that are all over the map. It rewards clarity. So the clearer your topic and the niche of your channel is, the faster that YouTube is going to be able to connect and play matchmaker with your video, connect the right video to the right viewer at the right time. And that's what's going to make your content get seen by more people. So if you want to see how to find your niche and grow faster on YouTube, click the link right here on screen to watch a video that Nate and I did together. It's a great podcast episode that'll help you dial in exactly how to focus your channel in the right way to succeed on YouTube this year. And I'll see you over there.